Man, it's always great to catch up with our next guest here on GCR. He was just down in Sarasota spending some time with the Birds as a guest instructor. He is, of course, a member of the Orioles Hall of Fame. Birds legend J.J. Hardy back with us on the program. J.J. Hardy, good morning, my friend. It's always great to chat with you.
Good morning. Yeah, thanks for having me.
Hey, man, it's, I love this. Like, I know I don't know how seriously you guys take, like, the guest instructor role. I don't know. But I hope you know that it's so cool for Orioles fans to, like, see you guys involved with this group and the continuity there. I hope that, like, means something to you guys as much as it means to us.
It absolutely does. I mean, it's been a few years. I went out there 2020 as a guest instructor right before COVID hit,
Yeah.
and then didn't get another invite back out. And I was like, oh man, I must have not been good. But then, hearing how everything went after COVID, the short season in 2021, and then World Baseball Classic, and all, just hasn't been a normal spring training since. And so when I got the invite back out this year, I was pumped. Yeah, it's always fun to get back around all the guys and be in a uniform again.
That's awesome, man. Obviously this spring training a little bit different than it was back in 2020, not just because the world ended up shutting down, but because there's a lot of expectations for this team.
Right.
Having watched from, afar, and I know you've made some appearances, what were you most interested in learning about this group of guys, being around them? And what impressed you most about this group, where it's not just that we know they're good baseball players, but I think we've all been blown away by how kind of incredible the culture is for this current team?
It really was awesome. After my last season in 2017, I stepped away. I didn't watch. I'm gonna be honest. I didn't watch a whole lot of baseball for a couple years. But last year the Orioles got my attention, winning 101 games.
Yeah.
And then getting out there this spring training and not knowing everybody like I normally did. I feel like when I was playing, I could walk into any clubhouse and know pretty much anybody that I saw. So getting to know some of the guys, talking to the coaches about what everybody's capable of doing and what they have done was kind of a new learning experience for me. But what impressed me the most was, I spent a lot of time with the infielders.
Yep.
I didn't see a ton of BP. I was kind of just watching the infielders and working with them in any way that I could. But the depth that they have, the athleticism that they have, all of it was just like, my goodness, this is a really strong group of players.
So obviously, that like the guy that's getting all the attention among the infielders is, of course, Jackson Holliday. JJ,
Right.
I don't know if you had like a relationship with Matt and like knew anything about the family, that you knew anything about him ahead of time, but every time you talk to this guy, every single one of it just comes away like, how? Like, how is he this young and this thoughtful and this advanced and this good? What was it like for you just sort of getting that sense of who this young man is?
Well, I played with Matt on a USA team. I think it was early 2000s, probably like 2002, I think
Okay.
it was. And then played against Matt a lot throughout our careers. And ton of respect for him, a true professional, just an awesome guy. And then, yeah, you look at Jackson, he's probably spent as much time as I have in a big league clubhouse. So he's 20 years old, and he's got like that veteran presence, just is super comfortable in the clubhouse, easy to talk to. And then, just on top of that, the athleticism that he has and how talented he is it was pretty awesome to see.
Do you, we're chatting with JJ Hardy here. I know they're not going to let you make the decision or probably even ask you like what
No
you think.
way. Yeah.
But if he were to be on the team to start the season, do you feel like he could, as young as he is and as few games as he's played above single A, is there any doubt in your mind that he could be ready to do this if he is on the team?
Well, what makes you think that he is capable of that is how comfortable he was in the clubhouse. The fact that he's been around big league guys so much, I think that plays a factor. His athleticism obviously plays a factor. The guy, I think he's going to hit. I really do. I think he's going to hit whatever level he's at. Defensively, moving to second base is that's a thing. I mean, he's crazy athletic. He's played shortstop his whole life, I'm sure. Turning double plays at second base is different than at shortstop. The angles are different. I feel like there will be a little bit of a learning curve there for that, but as as athletic as he is, I feel like he'll be able to make that adjustment pretty quick. The tough thing is, and I would not want to be making that decision, is the fact that the Orioles are so good and they're expected to win again this year.
Right.
It's not like he can go and learn and struggle a little bit in the big leagues. I feel like he needs to play. So that's what makes the decision tough for the front office and the coaching staff. But if it were me, and my opinion is that I think he'll be just fine, and the O's will be great with him at second.
Something that people bring up, JJ, is like, what if someone struggles and has to be sent back down? How does that impact them? And I feel awful. I think it was Andy McPhail who said this to me once upon a time, because I brought that question up to him, and he said, if that is what breaks you, I think something was always going to break you. You're not going to go a lifetime without facing adversity in this game. It's the nature of the sport. Do you have any fear about the idea of bringing someone up too early and then how it impacts them if they struggle and they have to get sent back down?
Well, I think McPhail says it right. I think that's a good point. I think he's mentally strong enough just from the week that I spent there to handle that. But I started in the big leagues in 2005 in Milwaukee, and was kind of in the same boat. The only problem was Milwaukee's expectations weren't as high as the Orioles' expectations this year. So I was able to struggle in the big leagues and learn a little bit.
Yeah.
Even though we weren't winning, I was able to learn in the big leagues a little bit. I don't think that's going to be the case with Baltimore this year. But having said that, I think he'll be all right. I don't think he's going to struggle enough to where he's going to hurt the team, and if he does struggle at all.
I feel like, too, and we saw this with Gunnar a year ago, right, where, like, he struggled offensively to start the season, but he was still getting the job done defensively to the point where they didn't feel like they had to send him back down, and sure enough, 2 months into the season, he looks like one of the best players in all of baseball at the moment. Like, is it a case of if you can handle it defensively, that part of it is, like, the team can live with, hey, everybody goes through some offensive struggles sometimes. As long as you're capable of doing things defensively, we can work through that for a little while.
Well, I think part of that would play into, what the rest of the guys in the lineup are doing.
That's fair.
If everyone's hitting like they're capable of, and Jackson struggles a little bit, I think that the Orioles are still going to be winning games.
Right.
Playing defense consistently, catching the ball, throwing the ball, making the plays that you're supposed to make does give you a little bit longer leash, I think, which I think he could handle that. But, I think that question would just depend on how the rest of the lineup is hitting. If there's other guys that are struggling too, then who's going to have to sit?
Yeah.
Who's going to have to get sent down? But I don't know. It's a tough call, and I'm glad I don't have to make it.
So, JJ Hardy, you, of course, were on some really good teams. But unfortunately not on a team that won a World Series, right? Not that I'm trying to remind that, because it hurts us too, I hope you know.
Okay, well, thank you. Yeah.
I know that in 2014, we all look back and say, like, hey, luck. You know what I mean? Like, if you guys are healthy, everybody's together, we feel like you got a hell of a shot at winning the World Series that year. This team gets there probably earlier than everybody thought. The mentality of how they've handled the disappointment of last year and losing in the playoffs after winning 101 games, I guess, one, what did you sense that did, like, in the time that you spent around them? And what does it take for a team to go from being good, being a consistent contender, maybe, say, winning the most games in the American League for a 5-year stretch, and then ultimately winning a World Series?
Well, you definitely didn't feel that in spring training, and I was there pretty early. You didn't feel like that was, had a huge effect. But you don't go and win 101 games by accident in the big leagues. Like, that just doesn't happen. So, these guys are good. These guys are capable of doing it. The experience that they've learned just from last year is going to help in the future. And I don't know. I feel like they're a good team. That wasn't an accident. They're gonna continue winning. And like I said, the experience that they won or that they had last year is going to help them in the future.
So, was this like are you thinking about this at all? Like, being an instructor, does it make? I was talking to Wieters about it the other day because he also does some coaching at the high school level and helps out at Georgia Tech. Does being around it at all make you think, like, man, I wouldn't mind getting back into this? Or you totally happy not having to deal with this on a day-to-day basis in your life?
No, it weighs on my mind. I kick it around all the time.
Yeah.
Like I had so much fun out there for that week, having a uniform on, just being in the infield, watching the guys take ground balls. I miss that. I miss that a lot, taking ground balls and just those days of working hard, having fun, which was one other thing I saw with those infielders. They're out there for early work every single day. I mean, Manzolino had those guys working hard, and they were enjoying it.
Wow.
Which that's not normal. You don't always enjoy early work in the big leagues, but these guys were. But no, absolutely. I think about it all the time. I've got 2 kids right now, an 8-year-old and a 5-year-old. That's the only reason I'm not in a uniform and playing or coaching. And I kick it around all the time.
Are your kids playing ball?
Last night was their first game ever.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah. So
how cool is that for you?
It was awesome. They haven't done a whole lot. They haven't showed me a whole lot of interest, and I don't want to be that parent that's forcing them to play.
Yeah.
So the fact that they were out there and they had a lot of fun was awesome for me.
Man, that's so cool. I was I've been talking about it a lot. I got a 9-year-old and a 6-year-old, both boys, and they had been playing lacrosse because it's Maryland. It's just sort of a thing.
Yep.
But this year they came to me and asked if they could play baseball instead. And so it's been, I've been going out every day, hitting them grounders and throwing them, and it's just the joy. It's the coolest thing in the world, man. Like, how much fun they have. Just me like rolling a ball to try to get a funny hop for them. I'm like, oh, this is amazing.
It is so awesome watching them smile, laugh, have fun. I mean, that's what it's all about. It's about having fun, and they have a lot of it when they're out there. So it's fun.
It's so cool. Hey, JJ, before I let you go, if I could, and again, I know that I wonder, because we asked Buck about this recently. There's going to be new ownership here in Baltimore. David Rubenstein's going to take over. If for whatever reason somebody, he came to you and said, JJ, what would be something that you would want me to know about what makes a good leader in Baltimore? Like, what's something that you should do to be a strong leader uniquely in Baltimore and with this franchise? As someone who spent so much time here and knows the fan base, what's something that maybe you would pass along?
Oh, that's a super tough question. I don't know. I mean, I guess, hasn't he been around Baltimore? Isn't he from that area?
Yeah, he was originally from Baltimore, correct.
Which makes him a perfect guy for the job. I think he's coming in at the right time. There is tons of excitement in Baltimore, and I mean, I'm excited for him. I'm excited to see what he does, and I don't know. I don't think I could give him advice on what that position would be like, but
yeah,
I think he's going to be a great guy for the job.
I appreciate that. Obviously, even for you, and you've done well, there's still some zeros that are different in your bank accounts, and that makes things different when it comes to that. But I appreciate that. And yeah, I think the idea of just, hey, a Baltimore guy that knows how this city can live and breathe with baseball when it's good, man. It's a special time. JJ, it's always great to chat with you, man. I hope we mean it. Like, it's a really cool thing for us to see how the players and the guys from that successful run of baseball are continuing to be a part of this franchise. It's a small thing. It probably won't make the difference in winning the World Series, but it makes a lot of difference for this fan base.
Well, I love it. So hopefully I get another invite back.
We would love that. We'd love to see you here in Baltimore, too, throughout the course of the season, JJ. Appreciate you, man. Thank you for taking the time for us, as always, dude.
You bet. Thanks for having me.